Is it more important to change your mindset or to start focusing on changing your self-identity? Hey, Jason here. If you've been watching the channel, you've been seeing me now 10 years in as a nomad slash expat. I am on my fourth country, third continent, here in Lusaka, Zambia, which is in the southern region of Africa. Now, one of the things I've started doing now is sharing with you things I've learned along this 10-year journey of life. And most importantly, if you're thinking about becoming an expat or already one, why you should be coming to Zambia and looking at all the opportunities that exist here. So let's go ahead and get into today's topic. We're going to be talking about mindset or identity. Now, both of these are very important things, especially if you've been doing any professional development. However, which is more important to focus on first? And I think this is where surface level law of attraction or professional development is going to miss the mark, and you really need to go a lot deeper and usually into some of these very expensive coaching programs. Now, I've been very blessed to be able to be in the Bob Proctor one-year intensive coaching program, which I was doing back in 2021. And now that I've started doing more self-study since Bob Proctor has passed along, I've started really connecting some dots and putting things together. And I just want to share these things here with you. And so the thing that I think where most people are teaching this wrong and where most people are telling you the wrong things, and they don't mean to misguide you, it's just they don't have enough of the information and connecting enough of the dots, is your mindset actually never changes if you don't change your self-identity. Now, this is one of the biggest problems. It is that school and nothing is really teaching us. The mind is a multi-dimensional entity. The mind operates on different planes of existence, so it's multi-dimensional. And the reason why I say this is the mind is comprised of three key particular parts of your human experience. One is your conscious mind. This is where your brain is, the way you perceive everything is your five senses, how you get around this physical world. The second part is the subconscious mind. This is that part that no one can really tell you what it is. This is where all the hidden programs of how you operate, like how you've been programmed, what is your belief system, how your memory intact. This actually incorporates your seven faculties, which I'll get into those in another video because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. And then the third part is the complete physical part of you, your body. Your mind has three different parts: the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and your body. And so this is one of the things that a lot of people do not understand. And if you've ever been one of those where you've done something wrong, like I know for my fellow military people, you know, you did something wrong in boot camp or you just did something silly you wasn't supposed to do. Then whoever's your NCO in charge or maybe an officer in charge is asking you, private or blank blank so-and-so, why did you do this? And the only thing you say is, I don't know. The reason why you say you don't know is because your paradigm, the actual things that you have been programmed to habitually do, and you do these things without thinking. That's the thing about it. You don't even have to think about these things to do them. You were just operating on autopilot. Majority of our lives and the majority of the tasks that we do, we operate on autopilot. Look at the difference between when you first tried to learn how to tie your shoes till now. If you're well over your 20s, you don't even think about it. You may not even look down, but when you were a kid, you would put the loop, do this, like very cautious, and you're messing up a lot. But now because you've been physically doing that for so many times, it's just been programmed into your actual muscle memory. And so you don't have to think about it. The same thing goes with driving a car. If you remember the first time you actually drove a car, you was probably scared, you was panicking. Now you probably answer the phone. I've seen people do makeup. Like I know for me, I can be distracted on the phone. I can still send a text message and drive. Like all of these things that you're able to do while doing something, when you first tried it, you could not do nothing but put all your attention to it. And so that is what people are not explaining. And so once you had developed the identity of, I'm a person who drives a car and this is my everyday routine, your mindset changed. you did not have to just sit there and focus on driving anymore. And so you were actually doing it on autopilot. If you've ever been driving and then all of a sudden you look up and you come to, like, not like you were asleep or anything, but you were just blanked out. And then you just like, oh, okay, all right, man, that was fast. That's because you were doing it on autopilot. The rest of your mind was somewhere else. Physically, your body was doing what it needed to do. Your conscious mind was still taking in all the signals around you, but your subconscious mind was off somewhere else, thinking probably of something else to do or something that makes you happy. And so these are the things that we have to understand when it comes to changing our lives. And even now, as we speak, I'm in the process of changing my self-identity around certain things. I've been working really big on changing and updating my self-identity around money. Now, just my little backstory, I didn't come from a rich family. The reason why I'm able to live the lifestyle I am is I went to the military at 18 years old. I went to a war. I am an Iraqi war veteran. I was there doing freedom. I was there in combat. All of those things. Sometimes people think like, oh man, you had an easy life. No, going to war wasn't easy. It was very hard. And I was starting to actually hold on to or latch to the self-identity of a disabled war veteran. So I was really big on, I was needing my cane. I was needing my little walking assistant when I was living in DeSoto still. I was taking a lot of medication. I was sick. I was literally losing my mind. I was really developing PTSD and other things. Technically anxiety NOS and severe depression, if you want it from the medical documentation, but we're just gonna, for easier purposes, let's just use PTSD. Like, I was developing all of those things. I was having all of those problems. I couldn't articulate myself. I was so lost in thought. And it was because I had that self-identity of a disabled war veteran. I was shell-shocked. I was such a horrible person, all of these things. One of the things that I realize now that I was doing when I was learning acceptance commitment therapy from my late wife, it was changing my self-identity. I didn't know I was doing that. She didn't know she was doing that. But we started out with ACT, which is acceptance commitment therapy, which I say read as much on it as possible if you can. If you know someone that's dealing with things, use acceptance commitment therapy. And it's the beautiful thing about it is you can educate yourself on it. You do not need a professional. It's you that's going to be doing the things and changing your life. And so when I started doing that, before I started really digging deep into psychology again, which is the study of self, and I started realizing, wait, there's updated versions of psychology. It's not just Sigmund Freud and the stuff they're teaching in universities. There's people right now with books who have been studying. It's like Dr. Joseph Murphy, Maxwell Maltz, the author of Psycho-Cybernetics. Bob Proctor was a big psychologist. Earl Nightingale, all of these people, and there's still plenty more to this day. And so it had me doing one part, or really two parts, of hijacking my mind. And what I mean by hijacking my mind was I was physically putting my body into a certain motion. I was moving my body for a particular reason. And that's the second part. And so that second part of the reason, I was doing something called auto-suggestion, or positive present moment speech. This is where you're just reiterating short things to yourself to change who you are, how you're identifying yourself. So at that time, I was saying, I am a veteran. I stopped saying I'm a disabled war veteran. I can say it now because I know that is not who I am. It's just giving you a part of the actual background of the story. And I started first just saying, I am a veteran. I am a veteran. I am a veteran. And then I started saying, I'm a veteran who walks. I'm a veteran who walks this many miles. I'm a veteran who does this. And as I kept doing it consistently over and over and over again, I didn't know I was rewriting my self-identity. And so fast forward to when I was in Colombia back to 2021, right before, at the end of the year, I had my self-identity intact. It was like right on point. And what happened after that is my wife passed away in 2022 on January 8th. And so when she passed away, it actually made me lose a part of that self-identity. I was no longer holding on to it. And the beautiful thing about it was it made me revert some things. Some areas went haywire. Like as you see now, I'm a lot bigger. I'm rewriting that self-identity now. And then there was other things that changed. But one of the things that changed also was I felt safe knowing that she was managing the money. It made me feel safe. Like I knew I didn't have to worry about it. And so after she passed away, I reloaded that self-identity as someone who was lost. Like, yo, I'm worried now. Do I have enough money? How am I going to do this? How am I going to make it? Like, I just lost my life savings that I had in a blockchain investment. Like, I lost this. And it took me, and this is why I'm laughing at it now, it took me 3 years to start really understanding. And what I was doing over these 3 years, I was slowly re-changing my self-identity. Now, it was long, it was hard, it was tough sometimes, but it was necessary. And the reason why I want to share this with you is because, like, if it took me 3 years, maybe if you learning from some of the hacks that I do, maybe it help you do it in 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. Like, the faster you can do this stuff and learn it, like, it's going to change your life. And so, like, it fully, and it was funny because once you're aware that your self-identity has changed and is uploaded to your ego, you feel something inside. It's like a burden of stress taken off of your shoulder. And that's how you know now you have the self-identity of this individual. Now, let me just say this also. The beautiful thing about the human brain is the complexity of it. And because it's a multidimensional entity, we are able to hold a limitless supply of self-identities. So don't think just because I'm talking about money right now, that's going to automatically change your self-identity around health, around relationships, all of those different things. So this is one of the things, other things that a lot of these trainings are not explaining. And some of the books just can't explain. It's the difference between me talking to you on video or talking to you in person. And that is, you hold a unlimited supply of self-identities. It's not like here's the biggest one that most people think, oh, I'm a Christian. So they hold that self-identity of being they are a Christian, they go to church. However, it doesn't mean they're always doing Christian activities. And we all know that friend or family that they're a Christian. You know, they may go to church on Easter or something, but they don't really live a Christian life. And I'm just using that one because I think that's a very easy one that a lot of us can relate to very fast. Even if you're probably Islam, Buddha, you probably have always seen someone like that. Because let's be honest, if everybody was really being a Christian, holding to every image of that self-identity, their mindset around this world would be a lot different. Things would definitely not be in the situation that they are now for most people in the world. Okay, some bug in here. Man, I'm about to close the door pretty soon. And so when my mom was here visiting, it actually clicked in for me that my self-identity around money has changed. I am that person. Because for these last 3 years, I was really always worried about, do I have enough money to make it? Can I do this? Can I truly live off my pension or build the dreams that I have again? Get back to the place that I wanted to be as an entrepreneur, where I was before she passed. All these different things was always, negative self-talk in my head. And then when my mom came, it realized, like, bro, your rent is paid for. You pay all your bills on the first, and you still have a really good amount of money to live off for the month. And The truth is you've only been going to zero because you've been reinvesting all of your fiat money into land. And I was like, wait, I'm doing the right thing here. And I'm not thinking hard. I'm not like out here doing crazy stuff, partying, drinking. I'm like, you're at home every day. You're making sure you're always looking up for land and things. And so it clicked in me that, dude, you're being responsible. This is your self-identity around money. Quit stressing out. And so I quit stressing out about it because I'm like, okay, now I know this is the self-identity I have around money. Let me go focus on my self-identity on something else. So now as you're going to start seeing as the videos progress over the next months throughout this year, that I am focused on my physical again. I want to get back to where I was or even better. And that's where I'm working on the self-identity now. I'm loading those images up. As you see, I've now started getting personal shirts tailored made. And I'm like, man, I really like this. But you know what I like even more? I'm about half this size and I'm getting even better shirts tailor made because they're looking even better on me. More clean cut, trim, all of that. And this is the thing about the self-identity. And this is why I say your mindset doesn't change without changing the self-identity. For me to be the person that doesn't have financial woes or troubles means I had to change my mindset around money. I couldn't, this thing is loud, I couldn't be that same person who was just irrationally spending to be the life that I live now. And so like, just be mindful of that. 'Cause I think a lot of times we hold ourselves back because we want to stay who we are. We want to keep doing the things that we do. And when we start slowly shifting into the self-identity of that new person and we see those habits are changing, we get scared. Like we're not keeping it real or this or that. And the reason why, let me just say this, the reason why I'm doing this video is because I was on TikTok live this morning and, you know, we talk about group economics and the importance of it. And I just kept seeing a lot of people coming. You got to work on the mindset. We got to change the mindset of the people. You got to change this. And you don't. Because you can't, if the people don't change their self-identity, their mindset isn't going to go anywhere. And the person's, their justification behind it was a very narrow viewpointed justification. It was like, well, the druggies in the neighborhood, the druggies are doing this. How are you going to convince the druggies to stop doing drugs? And it's like, if you put them in an environment to where they don't see drugs in, there will be no drugs for them to do. If you change that self-identity of the person, because your self-identity is your self-identity, but it's also a part of the cultural identity. So like even here in Ibex Meanwood, there's a cultural identity here. There's cultural identities in South Africa. There's cultural identities in Texas. There's cultural identities and community identities all around the world. Like every place is not the same in the same country or even in the same city. Like there's definitely a big difference between Lusaka and the Copper Belt, even Lusaka and Livingston. There's a big difference between when you go to border towns and major cities. There's difference between suburbs and rural villages and stuff. And there's all different identities around that. And like I was explaining to them on the TikTok live, I was like, until you start changing the identity, you're not going to change that person. So don't beat that person up because their mindset may be poor to you, or they may be making bad decisions as a mindset. The truth is they're just doing what they were programmed to do. And those are the habitual habits that had programmed them. And I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's a great thing that a lot of people are dwelling more into psychology, professional development, all of these things. However, I believe now as a society where we are, we need to know more than just the surface level. I've been very blessed to be able to afford to go into really deep practices, deep trainings, deep seminars and things like this. And so I just wanted to share this with you. I'm going to be doing more stuff on the mind. I'm going to be going more into the ego. Now, this is one of my personal philosophies, and I'm probably going to start writing my book on it this year. I believe the ego has been misdiagnosed, mischaracterized for too long now. It is a time where science, spirituality, and just the physical existence has all evolved to a point where we need to fully understand what the ego really is. We need to fully understand self-identities. We all have multiple personalities, and we need to start doing this really understanding this at a fast pace, because this is what's causing a lot of mental disturbance in the world that we live in now. It's because we've been given the wrong knowledge, and we have to understand the truth. And so if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. And just remember this, I'm Jason, and success is simple once you know how.